demonstration to go over some tips and tricks for students to be able to use with Illustrator when they're starting to get to first start using this tool. So the first one I'm going to show you guys is how you place your image in there, how to create a template as well. There's been some confusion with this too. So if you first have your file, remember you could file and place something in your document as far as a picture. When you place that picture in there, okay, there are things you might want to be thinking about as far as your layers that are here, okay? It's a good idea to create a new layer, okay, on top of that, and the layer that you can draw on. The layer that you actually added your picture on, if you double click on this, you can actually create a template for this. It locks everything and dims the images to 50%. That way I won't mistakenly do anything with that. You can then go back on your layer on top of that and draw over the top of your image to create your picture as well. Okay, and then that would be separate. Remember to save your files, guys, as you're doing this so that you can access this at home. You're saving it either by going under File, Save As, and remember you could save your Adobe Cloud document, okay? Save to the cloud so you could access these files later, okay? The placed image, you want to make sure that that placed image, whatever that placed image that you guys have, if my placed image is here, I need to save a copy of this so I can access this too as well. If I just save this file, it doesn't save this placed image in there either. So you might have that missing. So make sure you guys save that on a flash drive, Google Drive, or in your cloud documents so you can access those things later. Cool. A few things with some of the tools. Using the tools, you can obviously create those lines, but there's different things that you guys could do with the lines as you create them. Remember, you can always change the stroke weight on your lines. But in each one of these lines, there's also the palettes that show you some of those options. When you first open up the stroke panel, you'll probably see it'll look more like this. You won't see any of the options. Every tool that you have here has an options bar on it here, which is at the top right of the panel. It's those three lines that are there. If you click on those, you can show the options that are there. What's cool with the stroke is once you guys have that, you can also start to change some of those things as well. Once I have this, you notice I could change the cap, how it looks. Look how it rounded off the edges on here. I can also round the corners too. You have these really sharp corners. I can round them off. I can bevel them if I want to, okay? And I can change how my stroke is aligned to my path. I can have it so it is actually on the inside, or I can have it on the outside. Notice how it changes how my objects look just by doing that too. One other thing I could do with my lines. If I have a line, I can also change it to a dashed line, depending on how I have my caps as well. I can increase the gap as well. And I can change my dash too. It's a great way to kind of think about some of those things. The arrowheads are more than just arrowheads. Yes, you could add an arrowhead on it, but you could also add other symbols that are on here too. They even have some really funny other things too. Kind of cool. All right. Now, we've kind of showed you guys, if you guys are creating some of those shapes and lines and things like that too, that there's different ways that you can fill those in with colors. You can actually create another layer on here too, and have that layer underneath your paths, so that if anything that I create in here, I might use what's called a blob brush tool, okay, to fill those colors in. And you can see my blob brush tool, it shows me my paintbrush size. I can actually increase or decrease my paintbrush size. If you notice on your keyboard next to the P key, there's my bracket keys. If I click on the bracket keys, look, I can make it bigger, or I can make it smaller, just by holding down the brackets, okay? That pretty much works with any brush tool, okay? I can paint this in, okay? I'll change this as well to a different color so you guys can see. So my blob brush tool works great because whatever I'm painting, it kind of fills in with that color, okay? And what's awesome with that is once I have that, I could actually use my eraser tool and I could erase outside of it if I need to as well. That's a simple way to kind of use one of those other tools that are there, okay? Now, I see a lot of people, they might use the other tool, and I want to show you the difference. Sometimes people use the paintbrush tool, and it works very similar, and you can open and make that bigger and kind of fill in those areas so that you can fill those things in, okay? And it seems to look the same, but it's not quite the same, and I want you to see why. That right there is not the same as this. This is a shape. I can edit the shape really easily by using my eraser tool and getting rid of it. This one's a little bit trickier because it's all these lines that I've created. If I try to erase it with the eraser tool, it doesn't work. It only erases those lines that are there. Basically what ends up happening is it starts to look like this rather than this. So I would say if you're trying to fill something in, use the blob brush tool. If you want to create a different stroke, use the paintbrush tool, okay? Also, when you guys are starting to think about using the eraser tool, people kind of do different things with it, okay? With the tool, as I start to create things, I might have a shape that I've created, and I'm trying to use my eraser tool. Okay, and I'm like, I just want to erase part of this. I want to get rid of this line right here. Okay, like, okay, that's perfect. Wait, what happened? Oh, I need to get rid of this line again. What's going on? Get rid of this thing. Oh my gosh, what's happening? What's happening is you guys are forgetting that this is actually a shape. It's actually not just a line. It's actually filled with a color. And the line that's here is the shape too as well. Okay, so when I'm erasing this, I'm not erasing just the line. I'm erasing trying to erase the shape that's there too. And that's what's happening. So a better way to do this, guys, is using other tools that are underneath the eraser tool. There's a scissor tool here, and the scissor tool works great because I can actually click on my line and I can cut that where I want to cut it, and it separates it out into two separate places. I can also use another tool under here too, which is called the knife tool. The knife tool is great because I can just cut something and it'll cut it into two separate spots as well too. Kind of fun. So different tools, different ways to cut things up, different ways to change things and stuff like that too. So that's what I would encourage you guys as you guys are doing this, to be trying some of those other tools as well. Now, one other thing too, if I'm creating a shape, there's different ways to copy it and make a duplicate of this. A lot of people will select it, hit Command C and Command V to paste. Okay, that's great. It does work. You could paste it multiple times and move it back where you want to. But if you're trying to do multiple things or something simple, a lot of times it's easy just to move it and hold down the Option key. Notice I get those two arrows. If I hold down the Option key, it makes a copy. And there's a way to duplicate the last thing that I did. Command D will duplicate the last thing that I did. Pretty cool, right? Okay. Now, one other thing too that you could do with these objects, if you want to, you could actually group them together. If I group something together under Object and Group of that selection, now when I click on one thing, everything's together. And it works, and they work and change all together as I'm doing that. Cool? Okay. Now, Couple other things when you guys are starting to create something. There's been people that have started to create when you're starting to think about your shapes and things that you've created. You're starting to have a shape, and then you want to create another shape right next to it. So you're going to draw around it, and you're going to try to get there, and you're like, okay, I got to get exactly to this line, and I got to get on there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get this exactly this line, and I'm going to try to start moving it in here, and it's not working because I need to fill this one in with a different color, and I can't get that to work. Well, rather than doing something like that, think about it just like when you were in elementary school. Think about when you're creating those shapes that are there, you can actually go into your layers and open it up, change the order. They're just overlapping. You don't have to worry about trying to get them exact. The colors are opaque, and they change, they just cover up the existing ones that are already there, okay? Live paint, using live paint, okay? If you guys are starting to create live paint shapes and you're trying to color things in, okay, it's always a good idea to have, when you're creating these, that the line should be connected to each other. And that should generally work, okay? If I'm using my live paint bucket and filling in with a color, it should recognize those colors as I go through, okay? But notice, like some of these, it doesn't fill it in because they're not touching. You can kind of adjust those as you guys go through. When you go into live paint and gap options, make sure your gap options are at large gaps. If they're at small gaps, notice I can't fill in the space here. But if I change this gap options to large gaps, now it will actually let me fill in that space, even though they're not touching. So it's a good way to do that. Now, what happens if you have a live paint area, you already started painting it in, and you're like, oh man, I want to add in another color. And I need a line that goes right across here. If I add a line as it goes across here, and I select this all again and go, okay, I'm going to use my live paint bucket tool, and I just want to fill in, wait, it's selecting the whole big thing again. How come I can't fix this? I'm going to click on it. Well, it just gave me this. It gave me a window here. You guys are so used to clicking and closing those pop-ups, because when you watch YouTube, what happens? Pop-up, close it, pop-up, close it, pop-up, close it. I'm not reading it. Read it. It says, if you wish to merge the paths on the live paint group, click the merge live paint button. Oh, okay. Well, where's that? Well, actually, it's right up here. If I click on this merge live paint button, now when I go in here, oh my gosh, look, I was able to add that line to it really easily. So if you need to add a new shape to it after you've already done the live paint, you can use that merge live paint bucket that's up there too. One last thing, and then I'll let you guys get back to what you're doing. As you're working, you might accidentally click on something twice and it grays everything else out, and you're like, whoa, what happened? It's okay, it's actually called isolation mode. You're not going to use that just yet, but you need to know how to get out of it just in case. An easy way to get out of it is just to double click on the background, it'll take you out. Or if you're also in there, you can also click on the arrows up here to take you back into the regular mode. Those are great ways for you guys to be able to have some of those tips and tricks that are in there. Hopefully that will help you guys with what you need. I'm going to ask you guys really fast though, if you have any questions I might be able to answer on this video. Anyone have any questions of things I might not have answered? Great. Awesome. Well, you guys have fun with this, and we'll be checking on see how you guys are doing. And don't forget that this is due today on Friday.